Hello! No need to check your device, your eyes do not deceive you. I am back. COVID-19 is still very much causing issues, but I'm being extremely cautious with the amount of contact I'm having in car dealerships, but they are finally reopening their doors and I can start creating content again. Welcome back to Also Social UK. If you're new here, then please make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll really appreciate it. And of course, if you're a returning subscriber, then thank you so much for tuning in to watch this video. Now, I am at my little bit biased favourite car dealer group, which is Quest Motor Group in Braintree, where they've very kindly said that they're going to lend me the Vauxhall Corsa-E. Firstly, before we head to see the Vauxhall Corsa-E, what I thought I could do is quickly show you around the Quest Motor Group showroom and kind of highlight the different procedures and policies that they've put in place to make sure that your visit to buying your new car is as comfortable and contactless as possible. So at Quest Motor Group, they've put a number of things in place, including hand sanitizer stations, free gloves and face masks for all their customers. You've also got the stickering on the floors to make sure that everyone's keeping their 2 metre distance. So today I'm being set up for a contactless test drive, and that is something that's available for all customers at Quest Motor Group after a proper qualification. This electric Corsa was a car that Quest Motor Group were especially excited to show me, especially after how much I was impressed with the new Vauxhall Corsa petrol. So let's get into it. Visually, it's hard to pick apart the Vauxhall E compared to the standard Corsa. You do have a few subtle badges on the centre column and also on the rear of the car. Vauxhall said that this was a conscious effort to not have the car stand aside from the rest of the models. They say that extensive research showed that Vauxhall buyers didn't want a flashy electric car. Now, that may be the case, and I'm not saying I don't believe them, but Vauxhall had a very short time frame to create the Vauxhall Corsa. So I can imagine that when it came to redesigning the E, they wanted to keep it as simple as possible. That being said, I'm not mad at it. I've never been one for flashy electric cars, especially those awful hubcap style alloys that you used to get on the old e-Golf. This Vauxhall Corsa is striking and it's also super practical. I really love its looks, and the hubcaps are different from what you get on the standard Corsa, but as you can see, they're a lot better than those hubcap style. The tracks on the front and rear are wider, meaning the wheels are further apart. It's also 7mm longer from the front and rear wheels. This is to account for the battery, but stand this aside from a standard Corsa petrol or diesel version and you'd hardly be able to tell the difference. Now, by moving those front wheels further apart and giving you more space between, it means that you haven't compromised with any space inside the Corsa. However, there is a slight compromise with space in the boot. Because of the battery, there's no option to have a spare wheel, and as you can see, there's no storage for the charging cables either, which is a little bit of a letdown, but that is pretty standard across electric cars. I'm pleased that no interior space was lost, as I was pleasantly impressed at the space in the petrol version. If you wanted to see a bit more information about the interior space, then check out my previous Corsa video. I'll link it in the description below. Okay, so let's chat about what is arguably the most important thing about electric cars, and that's how you charge them. So Vauxhall do give you a free cable that comes standard with the car, and that includes a kit that's fitted to your house to make sure that you can charge it a little bit quicker. You can also get a 3-prong charger. It doesn't come as standard because it does take a little bit longer to charge up. You're looking at about 24 hours for 100% charge. So they give you this one and the box fitted to your house. It's very simple to use. You just open the filler cap as you would with a petrol, insert your cable, and wait for the light to turn green. This connection here is similar to what you'd have fitted in your home, and again is very, very simple. Just plug it in and you're ready to go. A fitment like this that you'd have fitted to your home, or like they've got at Quest in Braintree, will take around 8 hours to charge from 0 to 80%. There is also option to use faster charging like you get in service stations, and for a 50 watt charger it will take you around 40-45 minutes to get to 80%. If you were to use a 100 watt charger, which aren't exactly readily available but there are going to be more and more built, it will take you just 20 minutes to get to 80%. As this is an active demonstrator, Quest have pulled out all of the stops to make sure that it is fully equipped with PPE to make sure I feel really safe. So obviously I've got this seat cover here, I've got this rather fetching steering wheel cover as well, and I do have my gloves on too. So I do feel super safe and happy to be driving this car. I went into a bit more depth on the infotainment system in the previous video, which I'll link below, but the E is almost identical. It gets sat-nav and Apple and Android CarPlay, as well as the addition of heated seats on this higher spec model. The main difference in the E is that it has a digital instrument cluster, which is nice and clear, but perhaps not quite crisp and seamless as in other more expensive models. The engine has been replaced by a 50 kilowatt lithium ion battery, and that does about 209 miles of electric range as WLTP standards. Now 200 is about standard for this type of electric car. It does do more miles than some smaller city cars, and it doesn't quite do the mileage that you get out of the big guns like Tesla, but in general it's a very good range for the car. The Corsa's battery charges one of two ways, so you can use the standard charging cables, but then there's also two modes on the gear stick. So you have your regular drive mode and you also have your braking mode. So pop it into the braking mode. What this does is every time you come lightly off of the accelerator, the car will start to actively brake for you. Get used to this car and you can drive it very efficiently by using this system. Now if you remember, when I drove the petrol Corsa, it came with two different petrol engines. There was a 75 brake horsepower and also a 99 brake horsepower. Now the electric Corsa gets significantly more than that. It gets 136 brake horsepower and will get you from 0 to 60 in just 8.1 seconds, which is more than adequate for a car this size. Of course, like most electric cars, that first surge of energy is the most impressive. In fact, the Vauxhall Corsa-E will go from 0 to 30 in under 3 seconds, which is quite something. There are 3 different driving modes on this car: Sport, Normal and Eco. So the Sport increases the feel through the steering wheel and maximises acceleration. Then you have the Normal, which is the best of both worlds. Eco reduces energy consuming features such as top speed, but gets you the most out of your range. As well as increasing the wheelbase, they've also had to adapt the suspension to allow for the extra weight that comes with the battery. In fact, this lithium battery weighs a massive 355 kilograms, which is a lot of added weight. I've watched a few reviews where they said that changed suspension meant that the car was slightly uncomfortable, and I was worried how it was going to cope around these Essex country roads, but it's coping really well and I find it super comfortable. Perhaps it's not as luxurious as some other cars, but then you wouldn't expect it to be in the Vauxhall Corsa anyway, but for daily driving and shorter journeys, it's far comfortable enough. Those of you that watched my 2020 Vauxhall Corsa video at the beginning of this year will know that I noted that the steering was very light on the Vauxhall Corsa. Well, in the electric version, due to that suspension change, it's actually far firmer and much better on those fast motorway roads. But it's still agile and light enough around town to be a great city car. I think that they've made huge improvements to the steering in this one. The Corsa-E does come in more expensive than such cars as the Seat Me and the Skoda Citigo at just over £27,000. But what I would say is this car is far more grown up than those Super Minis, and I can say that because I drive a Super Mini. Probably the most comparable will be the Renault Zoe, which does 39 more miles. But in my opinion, the Vauxhall Corsa is far better looking than the Renault Zoe, and for 39 more miles, I'd rather have the Corsa. Vauxhall do give you some great benefits for going electric, and these include 3 years servicing, 2 years additional roadside assistance, and the first year's MOT. You also get a 6-month Polar subscription, which gives you access to over 7,000 charging points across the UK, most of which are free to use. When weighing up your costs when it comes to an electric car, it is good to know that Vauxhall say that this will be 30% cheaper to maintain. That's because there's less moving mechanical parts and there's less wear on the brakes. It would seem that the Vauxhall Corsa is bang in the middle of everything. It's bang in the middle for price, for range, and for performance as well. But I don't necessarily think the middle is a bad place to be. It's a great compromise if you're thinking of going electric. If you've been curious about going electric but are a little risk adverse, then maybe this cool city car might just be for you. It's significantly less flashy than its Honda and Mini rivals, but there's another 50% of range and tons of room for people to compensate. If you wanted any more information on the Vauxhall Corsa-E, then make sure you contact Request Motor Group in Braintree, where they'll be happy to answer any more questions that I might not have covered. I'll pop all their details in the description box. What I'm also going to do is link their YouTube channel as well, because Quest regularly put up YouTube videos about all of their cars that they have in stock. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Do not forget to hit the subscription button, as I really appreciate it, and give this video a massive thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.